True confidence. Everyone wants it, but very few truly understand it. We see confident people and imagine they were born that way. Strong, fearless, certain. But Aristotle, the great Greek philosopher who lived more than 2,000 years ago, would tell you that confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, step by step, through self-understanding, purpose, and practice. He believed that the most powerful form of confidence isn't loud or showy. It's quiet, steady, and unshakable because it comes from within. Aristotle taught that the foundation of confidence is self-knowledge. He once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." That sounds poetic, but it's also deeply practical. Most people look for confidence in the wrong places. They look for approval from others, for achievements that make them feel worthy, or for compliments that momentarily silence their doubts. But that kind of confidence is fragile. The moment something goes wrong or someone criticizes you, it disappears. Aristotle believed that true confidence begins when you stop seeking permission from the outside world and start aligning your actions with what you truly believe inside. Imagine a warrior walking into battle. He isn't confident because he expects victory. He's confident because he knows he's prepared. He is trained, he's disciplined, and he trusts his own abilities. Confidence is built the same way, not through wishing or pretending, but through preparation and integrity. When you do what you know is right, when you follow your values even when no one is watching, you begin to trust yourself. That trust becomes the root of confidence. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone because you already know who you are. Aristotle also believed that confidence, like every other strength, comes from habits of excellence. He said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. That means confidence isn't something you suddenly gain after success. It's something you build through repetition. Every time you face a challenge instead of avoiding it, every time you keep your word to yourself, every time you act even while afraid, you strengthen that inner muscle. Little by little, those choices accumulate into quiet power. Psychologists today call it self-efficacy, the belief that you can handle whatever comes your way because you've done it before. And that belief, more than anything else, is the essence of real confidence. But Aristotle also warned against going too far. He believed in balance, what he called the golden mean, the middle point between two extremes. Courage, he said, lies between cowardice and recklessness. Too much fear makes you weak, but too little fear makes you foolish. Confidence must also be balanced. Without it, you doubt yourself. With too much, you stop learning. The secret is to stand in the middle, steady, aware, and humble enough to keep growing. Real. Confidence is not arrogance. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't demand attention. It's the calm awareness that you can handle life as it comes. One of Aristotle's most powerful teachings was the idea of telos, which means purpose. He believed everything in nature has a purpose. A seed's purpose is to become a tree. A river's purpose is to flow to the sea. And a person's purpose is to reach their full potential. When you live according to your purpose, confidence naturally follows. You know. Longer waste time comparing yourself to others because you know what you're here to do. The path becomes clear, and the noise of other opinions fades into the background. The people who seem unshakable aren't fearless. They're simply focused. They know where they're going, and that gives them direction, discipline, and peace of mind. To live with purpose, you must learn to think clearly. Aristotle believed that clear thinking is the source of wisdom and confidence. He saw how easily people were ruled by confusion, emotion, and the opinions of others. He taught that if you can discipline your mind, you can master your life. The greatest battles, he said, are not fought on the battlefield, but within the mind. Even today, psychologists agree, overthinking, self-criticism, and comparison are the main causes of insecurity. When you let your thoughts spiral, confidence disappears. But when you train your thoughts to serve your purpose, everything changes. The next time you hear your inner critic say, "I'm not good enough," pause and ask, "Is this thought helping me?" Confidence isn't about silencing doubt completely. It's about choosing not to obey it. The mind will always whisper fears, but you can choose which thoughts to believe. You can choose to focus on progress, not perfection. Aristotle also believed that wisdom must lead to action. Knowledge without action, he said, is useless. Real wisdom isn't about knowing what's right, it's about doing what's right. Confidence works the same way. You don't become confident by waiting for courage to appear. You become confident by taking action, even when your hands are shaking and your heart is uncertain. Every small act of courage teaches your brain one powerful message: I can do this. That evidence becomes the foundation of your confidence. So don't wait until you feel ready, because readiness never comes. Take the step, make the move, speak up, try again. Each action builds proof, and proof builds belief. Aristotle would also tell you to be careful who you surround yourself with. He knew that humans are social beings, deeply influenced by the people around them. He said, "A friend to all is a friend to none," meaning not everyone deserves a seat at your table. The people around you can either water your confidence or drain it. Spend time with those who challenge you to grow, who tell you the truth, who live with virtue and integrity. True friendship, he taught, is built on shared values and mutual respect. When your environment supports your growth, confidence feels natural. When you're surrounded by doubt and negativity, even strong self-belief can crumble. Choose your company wisely, and you'll find it easier to trust yourself. Aristotle also valued silence. He was known for walking through the gardens of Athens, thinking deeply as he taught his students. He believed that quiet reflection was essential to a wise and confident life. In silence, he said, we hear the truth of our own thoughts. Today, our world is filled with noise, constant notifications, opinions, arguments, comparisons. It's easy to lose yourself in the chaos. But when you pause, disconnect, and simply think, you find clarity. That clarity becomes the root of confidence. Because once you understand your own mind, you stop being controlled by the noise of others. You act from conviction, not confusion. A few minutes of reflection each day can change how you show up in the world. Think about what truly matters to you, what you believe in, and what kind of person you want to become. That inner clarity makes you unshakable. Another forgotten lesson from Aristotle is the role of humility. He taught that true wisdom begins with recognizing how little we know. Confidence without humility becomes arrogance, and arrogance always leads to downfall. The most confident people are often the most humble because they don't need to prove anything. They are comfortable with learning, with listening, with admitting mistakes. Aristotle said that the wise person knows he does not know everything. That realization keeps you curious and open to growth. Confidence and humility are not opposites. They complete each other. Confidence says, I can learn this. Humility says, there's always more to learn. Together, they form the strongest kind of power, grounded, flexible, and wise. To build this kind of confidence in your own life, start small. Begin by knowing yourself, what you value, what you believe in, and what kind of life you want to live. Write it down if you have to. When you know your principles, decision-making becomes easier, and fear loses its grip. Next, act according to those values. Do what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. Keep promises to yourself, because every time you do, you strengthen the bond of self-trust. And finally, take time to reflect. Think about your progress, your mistakes, and your goals. Growth is not about never falling, it's about learning. Every time you do. Confidence doesn't mean you never feel fear. Aristotle would say that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the understanding that something else is more important. Confidence means you can look fear in the face and still move forward. It's a decision, a quiet one you make every day, to keep showing up for yourself no matter what. And with every step, no matter how small, that decision gets easier. Over time, confidence becomes your natural state, not because life gets easier. easier, but because you've grown stronger. When we look back at Aristotle's teachings, we realize that his wisdom is more relevant today than ever. In a world obsessed with appearance and validation, he reminds us that real power lies within. He reminds us that the person who truly knows themselves cannot be shaken by outside opinions. That kind of confidence isn't loud or dramatic. It's the steady calm you feel when you know your worth, when your actions match your beliefs, and when you live according to purpose. It's the confidence of someone who has mastered not the world, but themselves. So the next time you feel doubt creeping in, remember Aristotle's timeless message. Confidence begins with self-knowledge. Take a breath, center yourself, and act with intention. Keep your promises, face your fears, and choose growth over comfort. Little by little, you'll discover what Aristotle called eudaimonia, the flourishing life, the state of excellence that comes from living true to your purpose. That is where unshakable confidence is born. In the end, confidence is not about believing you'll never fall. It's about knowing that you can rise again every time you do. The storms will come, the critics will speak, but if you know yourself, truly know yourself, nothing can take that away. Aristotle's words echo through the centuries. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And when you live by that wisdom, confidence stops being something you chase. It becomes something you are. Because the most powerful person in any room is not the one who talks the loudest or demands attention. It's the one who stands quietly, sure of who they are, and acts with calm, deliberate purpose. That's the confidence Aristotle discovered more than 2 millennia ago. And it's the same confidence you can build today. It doesn't depend on luck, appearance, or praise. It depends only on you, your actions, your integrity, your purpose, and your willingness to keep growing. So carry this with you. Confidence is not found in noise or chaos, but in clarity, discipline, and reflection. It's not given by others. It's built through your choices. And when you learn to master yourself, you'll discover that unshakable confidence was never missing. It was waiting inside you all along.